Hello, Chondo. I am Bingus. If you're tuning into this episode at its 3 a.m. live premiere, thank you for tuning in. And if you're not, that's okay too. You were likely sleeping. I want to start this episode off by saying I've got some tools ready. And I want like a clear goal for this episode, right? Last time we spent an abnormal amount of time building a very small house. So this time I want to kind of, kick things up and get into it, get stuff done. And my specific plan for that is a mining excursion, which I am making some charcoal for because I'm going to need some more torches. While that is processing, I want to talk about this series just a little bit. I mentioned it in the last episode, but I am still trying to grow accustomed to live commentary. I haven't really done any since I was a boy, a wee lad, perhaps. So it's a bit of an adjustment trying to get back into it. But along with my speaking, this whole series is obviously evolving as we go on, because I'm figuring things out, I can say, though, it has been a very nice breath of fresh air compared to my main channel videos and writing stuff out. It's nice to just sit down and just be able to talk without having to write it and then read it off of a script. You may have noticed that last episode premiered live at 3 a.m. Now, to be honest, that really was not part of the plan, but when it was done processing and everything, it was like around 2:30 anyway, so I was like, well, I'll play into the name of the channel and, commit to the bit, right? But that got me thinking, I think it's kind of cool, actually. That was the first premiere I've done. I don't do premieres for any of my other videos, and if you're not accustomed with the term on YouTube, it basically means that you upload your video, and for whatever time you schedule, it will basically just play it as a live stream. And this is also with a live chat and everything. I saw a couple of people talking in it, and I think that kind of thing is really cool. I think it's a cool concept just in general with premieres, but specifically in the context of doing it like super late at night, I think it creates a kind of cool little atmosphere or environment, I guess. I don't want to get too deep, but I want to elaborate on that just a little bit. I've definitely spent periods of my life where you can't sleep, or your sleep schedule's super messed up, like mine is now, honestly. It can get like lonely at night, right? I don't mean like super severely lonely or anything, but I don't know, sometimes, the night's just a bit too quiet. It's more silent than usual, right? I've had many nights like that, and the one thing that I always kind of liked was just sitting down with a long YouTube video. Typically, that would be the works of the Vine Sauce crew. I really like their stuff, and, they do VODs, and they will just re-upload them on YouTube later. And I think that's almost kind of what these episodes can feel like, although that is not what is happening. I currently do not live stream for a few reasons. I end up repeating myself a lot because I just sometimes can't say things quite right, or I just need to repeat something for the sake of enunciating it better. And I don't think that would be super fun to listen to live. And my internet is not as stable as I would like it to be. It's typically pretty good, but every now and then it just kind of goes away, which is not that fun. And I can't imagine it'd be very fun to be watching a live stream and have it go offline for whatever reason. And I guess the third and final reason, I don't live stream because I live in like a noisy area, like a deceivingly noisy area. It's not like a big city or anything. It's a quaint little neighborhood that people love to just make a lot of noise in. I'm currently recording this at 10 p.m. at night, and just a few minutes ago, I heard the loudest car or motorcycle or something I had ever heard in my life just drive slowly through the neighborhood. And, that one car will start a chain reaction where dogs start barking, birds start chirping, the beasts awaken, just your general neighborhood lifestyle, right? We're pretty prepared. I honestly did some of this off camera. I want to go mining. I know we spent a good portion of the first episode just kind of talking. So I thought I'd get myself on track with something to do while I talk that actually is productive in some way. So speaking of talking during these Let's Plays, I want to address that nature of these just a little bit. I know a lot of modern Let's Plays are typically more heavily edited and kind of cater themselves to shorter form content. Think of something like 100 Days Let's Plays in comparison to, say, Ethos Lab. They're technically both Let's Plays, however, they are very different from each other. And my speed for this kind of thing is exactly what you're watching. I want to try and create an environment that is, pretty calming and relaxing and not many loud noises or, anything like that. Which I realized while recording the first episode, I think this is basically just a podcast at this point, which is interesting because I think a lot of commentary videos can be considered podcasts, kind of. Well, I guess gaming commentary, like Let's Plays and playthroughs and stuff like that. But I really liked this. I really liked how the first episode turned out, and it's like the exact kind of vibe that I wanted to have with these videos. And if you enjoyed that, I am very glad. I saw someone say that they could imagine like playing these videos in the background while like working on something, and I think some content creators could see that as an insult, but I see it as the greatest compliment I've ever received in my entire life. My attention span is not great, so it helps me to have something on in the background while I do anything, whether I'm working on something or, just playing a game and relaxing. Which actually, the one thing I can't watch any videos or listen to any music during is video editing, because I have to listen to my own videos. Starting out, I just didn't like to listen to my own voice, but now the fact that it's like the only thing I can listen to during that time it's tough. I need my deep dive iceberg videos playing on the other monitor at all times. So I think it's a kind of interesting thing, and I'm not saying that I'm entirely unique in this or I'm really necessarily doing anything new, but I like that while this is a Minecraft Let's Play, you don't really have to have the visual aspect if you don't want it. I'm not going to sit here and act like some pro gamer when it comes to Minecraft, because I'm not. I know a lot about the game. Honestly, it's too much, but that doesn't mean I'm really any good at it. I think I'm decent with a lot of parts of the game. Like, I think I can manage to build something somewhat aesthetically pleasing, but I'm not going to act like I'm something I'm not. I was already exposed as a poser in the last episode for playing on peaceful. I don't want to repeat that. So yeah, I hope you enjoy my commentary over this. And I think some of you did, because the first playthrough of this did pretty good. I got a lot of positive feedback, and it was honestly much more than I expected. So I appreciate you for tuning in. And if you're here right now, I appreciate you as well. It means a lot that you're sticking with me. I haven't talked a lot about Better Than Adventure's features yet, because we haven't delved into some of the more unique ones. But this is a mod on Beta 1.7.3, and I like most of the additions and changes. However, there's one that it's just a little weird to me. It's this right here. To my knowledge, there is no fortune in this mod, which is, I think, like the sole reason that the raw iron chunks were introduced in vanilla, because fortune was changed to where it would apply to all ores, right? And if you let them use it on iron ore and it just drops the iron ore block, then, well, you just duplicate it. So I'm not entirely sure why Better Than Adventure has the raw iron chunks. It is a very negligible difference, but it's just one that I more so just don't understand. I'm not, I guess, negative about it. And I guess I could just also be wrong. There might be some effect similar to efficiency that I just don't know of. There's one thing that's really cool, though, is the redstone ore. It looks like dark when it's not activated, but then you go, wait, how do you, hold on, do you have to walk on it? There we go. Yeah, that looks good. That looks really good. Off the top of my head, I honestly can't remember how the original game, or I guess the official game, handles the textures there, but all I know is that they for sure look different. I like how it's got the emissive texture like the spider eyes rather than just emitting off a low light source. My pickaxe is almost done here, so I'm going to have to make my way back up, and we've actually got a good bit of stuff. So I was going to check how low I was because I feel like I was really deep underground without hitting bedrock. But I forgot that this mod actually doesn't let you find out that information right from the get-go, which actually also apply. Oh, that spider's gonna make me wake up, isn't it? Is it gonna do that thing? Okay, no, I was able to fall asleep. Hi, bud. All right. Well, and that also applies to like the time and the season, I think. I mentioned earlier that this episode is being recorded at 10 p.m. This is in contrast to the last one, which was recorded starting around 4:30, I think. So I might seem a bit less energetic or a bit more low-key, I guess, but fret not. I am just an EBDB guy. I am just a little guy who likes to take naps and sleep. Conk shoe, need to go to bed. I've constructed my house in a way that makes it very difficult to place lighting in it. So like I can't really, like I can put that there, but then I have the ladder right here. So my house feels really dim. I'll just like build a castle or something soon. It'll be fine. This is a nice change of pace for me because I have, ooh, it's raining. Nice. It's gonna kill compression on the video, so I'll stay inside. But this is a nice change of pace because in more recent playthroughs of Minecraft, I kind of find myself speeding through the first bits of progression in the game. Like sometimes before I even get a house started, I'll have a full iron armor and, you know, which is totally fine. But it is nice to just take a break and do things more step by step. And I think beta Minecraft honestly lends itself a little better to this kind of flow. This isn't a fully written out analysis, so I don't have an exact answer as to why I think that, but I do think there are just maybe some quality of life features that aren't introduced yet, or maybe resources are less abundant, or I don't know. Or maybe there's no change and it's on a completely individual level. Either way, I am very much enjoying this. I'm gonna smelt some cobble while we're gone, because I think there's some cool building blocks you can make with regular stone. But yeah, for the time being, it's back to the mines. I have a confession that might be cringy, but it's completely sincere. I say that phrase whenever I sit down to edit or write or record a video. I say, back to the mines. That phrase was very prevalent during my Minecon editing, because as you can assume, it took a while, which was over very many editing sessions. And then after everything was said and done and Minecon was finished, I uploaded it to YouTube and never watched it again. Until a few weeks ago, I just checked it out. I think I was looking for something for another video maybe, but I revisited it and everything looked pretty good, except for the fact, and this makes me really mad, the audio for like Minecon's 2015 to the end sounds crazy, and I don't really know what happened. It's one of those things that would have never left my computer and been uploaded onto YouTube if I had noticed it. And I don't know how I would not have noticed it. It's like so obvious. Oh, hey, Bedrock. But I watched so many final exports of that hour and 17-minute video just to be finished with it, upload it, and then the audio is just completely different from what I thought it was. I think I definitely went a bit crazy with Minecon because it just took so long. I slept, and breathed Minecraft. I can't even say that right. Minecon's still messing with my head. I ate, slept, and breathed Minecon. I was in a daze, and nothing made sense. A fugue state where I had no choice but to talk about a gaming convention for an hour. Not to say I didn't And not to say I didn't enjoy making that video. Lava's really wrecking my vibe right now, I can't lie. The lava is harshing the vibe of this function at the moment. Not to say I didn't enjoy making Minecon. If I didn't enjoy making it, I wouldn't have made it. But I certainly hit a point where it felt like Minecon was making me. But I can tell you some Minecon trivia now. Not as much as you probably would expect. It's one of those things where so many Minecons were so similar to one another that even if you retain a specific piece of information, your brain kind of messes with you and tells you it happened at like 4 different Minecons. So yeah, if you guys ever want something fun to do, just go watch every single available video of a gaming convention that was discontinued 6 years ago. That Minecon video actually had like a lot of revelations, realizations. What is the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I sat and thought about it. I don't know. Working on Minecon taught me a lot of stuff about DaVinci and how to handle some more lengthy and time-intensive projects with shortcuts and stuff like that. But it also helped me make some leaps in my editing style, which, you know, it was fun to kind of figure out. That was one of the most fun parts of starting out YouTube is, you know, just, again, figuring things out piece by piece. You know, you're doing your thing. No one's really done your thing before. So what you're making is entirely unique. And sure, there are some general rules to follow when writing or editing, just like specifically for YouTube. But once you get past those, you're kind of given the freedom to do whatever you want. So that's always fun. And it's fun to, you know, challenge yourself and force yourself to branch out and try new things. Which could also be said about why did Minecraft happen? I know I mentioned it in the last episode, but that video actually has a green screen portion where, for the first time in binguschondo recorded history, I'm not sitting down, which felt so cool. I've kind of like got my set now, you know, with my desk and my monitor and stuff, but you don't realize how limiting sitting down can be to like body language. Moving your hands and stuff when you're speaking about something or trying to share information can be so helpful, and you kind of lose out a lot on that range of movement if you're sitting down. Also, I'm not just like mindlessly digging. I plan to turn this into a little, like an area, you know, like a little place, a room perhaps, that is just going to be aided by having a compass and knowing the Y level where I should actually set it up. But I thought clearing some of it out would just help in the future. There's this topic that I've wanted to talk about in like a fully written video for a little while now, but I've never been quite sure how to format it and present it. A few years ago, I got an Oculus Quest 2. I guess it's like a Meta Quest now, but like I played it so much. Mostly, I think, just Gorilla Tag, because I started playing that at a point where it was only on the side loader app SideQuest, so it was pretty unknown. I think I had just seen it on Reddit, and I was one of the first few people to play it, and it was really cool. But I branched out in my VR ventures and ended up playing a lot of VR chat. VR chat is weird. It's a very simple concept, and it's one that works really well. And I think my comment about it being weird comes more from the atmosphere that surrounds it, specifically for me as an individual. I don't play a lot of VR throughout the day, especially when I had just gotten my Quest 2. My sleep schedule was crazy. You know, I was sleeping till like 2 p.m. on any given day, and I was staying up super late. That was like just after I graduated high school, which, you know, there'd be days I'd go into school having not slept at all, and those habits can take a good bit to break. So yeah, I would stay up until the early hours of the morning playing VR chat. And most of the people who were also playing VR chat were doing the exact same thing. which ends up creating a very interesting and unique atmosphere. I have always kind of been a night owl, largely in part to the sleep schedule I just mentioned. But once you spend so much time at night rather than like being out in the day, like your mind gets like rewired. Because I think like as humans, our brains by nature want to be awake during the day. So your general stream of consciousness like says, "Hey, let's go" when it sees the sun. And for people who wake up during like the morning, or I guess early noon, you wake up and you are most energetic during that point when your brain like expects to be conscious. So things kind of like fit into place. But when half of that operation is removed or changed and your brain is like well rested and conscious during the night when everything else is already shut down, it just like makes you feel weird. I don't know if like lonely is the right word. Maybe more so like melancholy. Nothing is necessarily wrong, but like not everything is right. And I would find myself getting very attached to that emotion. This is a bit of a tangent, but I think it's also why people like the liminal space trend so much. Is it kind of like imagining yourself in that scenario? It's very like uncanny. One thing is wrong, but everything else is right. So anyway, back to the original train of thought there. I found myself getting very attached to staying up super, super late. And that was when like 24-hour Walmart and stuff was still a thing. And, even some like fast food restaurants would be open 24 hours. So you could kind of like afford to stay up that late and kind of function throughout your day like normal. But the pandemic happened and things changed. There are very few 24-hour places anymore, excluding gas stations. So you're not really given a ton of options if you are a bit of a night owl. Also, this is Y11, so I actually need to make my whole mining base up here. So as someone who stayed up really late and lived a lot of their life super late at night, the pandemic kind of threw things off. And I found that hopping into a VR chat world at those hours gave a bit of a similar feeling. It wasn't exact. It feels like in a way like you're kind of getting out of the house, right? I know you're not, but it kind of made you feel like it, which, is the whole point of VR, just to get immersed in another world. But again, like the feeling wasn't exact. And I think probably even less so for me, because I wouldn't even go into these worlds and like talk to anyone. There were some occasions where I'd say a couple words, but I usually preferred just to stay quiet and muted. And, that's for a few reasons. I don't want to wake anybody up in the house. And also, I just am nervous and scared. So I more so found myself just kind of walking around random worlds. And, there's not many people playing at that time. So you're lucky to run into a few people. But if you run into a few people on like a VR chat world and they're talking, they've probably been talking for a long time, or you're just entering into a very long discussion. When there's less people in a world like that, there's more reason to value the few people that you do find and your time with them. So for me, VR chat kind of became this weird escape into a world that I didn't really participate in, and I just kind of wandered around while other people did. Every now and then I'd act a little goofy. I had like a few avatars. One was the TF2 Scout, and the other was a Lego minifigure, like to scale. So I just tried to be like a little goofy guy. But even goofy guys, as we know, get sleepy. So I would just be in an absolute trance, wandering worlds that my human brain was not evolved to deal with. My Quest was not equipped to deal with it either. Those things. Some of those worlds, man, they will makes your face get hot. It's like you're wearing a bomb, a Facebook branded bomb. But it honestly made me. It kind of brought me back to a very specific point in life. It's one that, due to circumstances changing, I will never be able to really revisit. But I'll just lay out the situation and then try and attach some of the feelings that went with it. This would have been probably around 2014 to 15. I had recently gotten Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS. In Animal Crossing New Leaf, there is an island you can go to. It's a little resort island that just has like a few trees, and it's just surrounded by water. Well, obviously that's what an island is, but like it's a very small area. And for the money-hungry players of Animal Crossing, that island served one specific purpose: bugs. On the trees of that little island, you would find some of the most expensive bugs in the whole game. So you would go to this island and just harvest its wildlife for a profit. But binguschondo, how does that relate to there is a catch? These special bugs only spawn in the late hours of the night. So now let me lay out the scenario in which I would directly participate in this bug catching. I would have been 12 to 14 years old while playing this game, and I don't exactly remember the circumstances that were surrounding this whole time of my life. However, for I'll say like about a month, almost every day, like my mom would go to work, right? Like super early in the morning, because she worked kind of far away. So I would wake up in the morning while these bugs were still spawning. Doing this same routine super early in the morning became specifically associated with playing Animal Crossing New Leaf. And I was never really able to fully describe the emotion that made me feel, because it's not really a scenario that you would assume has many complex emotions surrounding it. I was just young and playing a video game. Past nostalgia, like, what really more could there be? And I think I've like kind of figured it out over the years. If you've played Animal Crossing, you know that it's like a very calm and relaxing game. The music, the visuals, everything in it is pretty much designed to just like make you feel at peace. Like there's very few scenarios in the game that are really like high intensity or anything close to it. And that can especially be said about the nighttime in Animal Crossing. And I played New Horizons, the series' newest release, but New Leaf definitely did this whole atmosphere best, in my opinion, obviously, which can be influenced by a lot of personal factors. So this whole night aesthetic of this game became like intrinsically connected to this point in my life. And it's such a hard thing to describe, but there is just something so special about playing Animal Crossing New Leaf when nobody else in the house is awake. It's super late at night. You know you probably shouldn't be up and you could be sleeping, and even your brain kind of wants you to be, but you're still up. I've said this word like a bunch, I think, at least by this point, but it really does kind of like put you in like a trance. And weirdly enough, I think a big part of that, and hear me out on this, was the resolution of the Nintendo 3DS. The 3DS, for its intents and purposes, was a pretty like powerful console. It ran things good, and it did its job. But the screen was pretty low resolution. So like you could see the pixels on it. And to play in with this resolution talk, the screen itself was just small. I mean, it was a handheld device, so I mean, it kind of had to be. So I think part of the immersion that you got from the 3DS was the screen. Oh, is that just because I got like some cool stone types? The size of the screen directly played into the immersion that you got from playing on a DS. Because if a game managed to be captivating and really like draw you in, it was all happening on a tiny screen. And you're holding it in your hand. It wasn't taking up your whole field of view. Like even now as I'm recording this, like I'm looking at my computer screen, I'm like a foot or two away from it. It's taking up most of what I can see. But the 3DS didn't, like not even close. So what ended up happening to me, and I would love to know if anybody felt the same way, I'm like tunnel visioned into this tiny little screen. But every now and then I would just stop and say, wait a minute, 80% of what I can see that isn't this screen is real life. And real life is still happening. Which might sound like an obvious conclusion to draw, but it was kind of like astounding that this little device was able to draw you in, taking up so little of your view. I didn't plan out this talk, so like I really should have, but I'm just gonna try and do an in summary in case none of what I said just made sense. If you truly do get immersed in that game, in Animal Crossing New Leaf, for instance, right? For a short while, that becomes your reality. You know, you're living that game, and everything going on around you is real life. And if it's at night, it's dark and it's quiet. So it introduces a bit of like a juxtaposition that not a lot of stuff can really replicate. Like not even phones. Phones are big nowadays. I don't want to sound like a boomer, like, Father, why can't I tap the book? But I think it's something that people won't really experience anymore. Record scratch, I was wrong, because I got an Oculus Quest 2 and I played VR chat. So now it's like, it's all coming together, right? If you're not familiar, the way that VR has to work is by either having two screens or projecting two images on one screen that can be like crossed between your two eyes to give it depth. And the nature of screens proposes something interesting there. They more often than not end up being low resolution. And it's not quite as low resolution as a 3DS screen, but that is the closest that I've gotten to kind of replicating that feeling. It was just something so unique. And I've tried for years to explain this, and I don't think I've ever done a great job at it. So if I sound crazy, call me out on it. I think that's the game calling me out on it. But if I'm saying something that you relate with, please, and I mean please, validate my feelings in the comments. I need to know that this is something that happens to other people. And it would be really cool to like hear some new perspective on this phenomenon. Anyway, back to the game that I am playing. I'm just doing a bit of like a simple kind of mining outpost design that can easily be expanded. This is at Y11, so if I wanted to, I could like bust through each of these walls and have strip mining locations, right? But I don't think... I don't know how far I want to expand it in this direction yet, or if I do want to. But I feel as though I have to make up my mind so that this episode has a satisfying conclusion. I guess that whole rant I just went on about that feeling associated with games can really be extended to videos as well. And I'm not going to go crazy on elaborating there, but I will say that the whole idea of having late night content to watch when you are in like a certain state of mind is it's again, it's like an interesting feeling. Hey guys, that didn't really make much sense. This is around the point in the video where I get really tired and everything I say from there on is kind of like weird. So I don't know if it's just something that's completely linked to nostalgia just for me, because again, I did spend, a lot of time in middle and even high school just staying up and watching old live streams of people playing weird games. So maybe part of this series for me is trying to give that content to other people. Bunch of weird noises outside. I know I mentioned like the dogs barking and stuff. which I hear that, but dude, I think the beasts might also be present. If only the beast were present. Mr. Beast. I think by the year 2030, Mr. Beast should have a bunch of replica robot drones that just look like him, and they run around like Santa every night, just offering money to people. I think that'd make for a good video, Jimmy. Good old Jimmy. When the Mr. Beast robot clone army overtakes the United States of America in 2030, you'll have me to blame. You'd just be in bed one night and hear tapping on the window. Would you like, Mr. Beast bar? Perhaps a burger? Chandler grilled this cheese himself. Jimmy kissed each of these fries. Download, honey. I do appreciate the variety in blocks that this mod provides. That is something that I mentioned in my original review, but you know, it's nice having some variety in these older versions of the game. If you are an Ultra Binguschondo stan and you saw my tour of the Minecon 2010 world, I talked a little bit about just the concept of variety and how that impacts Minecraft as a whole. Because in that video, we were touring a Minecraft Classic world, and Minecraft Classic did not have much in the way of decorative blocks or furniture or anything. There just wasn't a lot of variety unless you wanted full blocks. So that's why, you know, putting a black wool on a couple of wooden plank blocks was like a TV or something. And you can extend that into like later versions of Minecraft where, you know, people would grab a couple wool blocks and put a sign to make a little face on it and throw some levers, and you know, now you have like a fully functioning person. It's like a sentient being you just made. And you kind of lose out on that whole practice a little bit when, you know, things like armor stands get added. Don't take this as me, you know, like not enjoying their implementation into the game. It's just that when things provide such specific purposes like that, the alternatives for it go out of the window. And some people, you know, prefer that. And that's why, like, the furniture mods exist. But I also know a large portion of the community, especially the Golden Age community, liked when you had to, like, kind of use your imagination more to make some things work. I don't really stand too strong on it either way. I can see where both the complaints and the praises come in that field. But I do appreciate Better Than Adventure, the block palette presented here. I think for the tone that the mod is going for, they've done a very good job at backing that up with the blocks you're allowed to use. I think they did a good job here. Yeah, I think for the time being, we're gonna, you know, just finish up the floor here and just polish it up a little bit and then probably wind down the episode a bit. I can't remember if I've already said it this episode, but I'm really enjoying this series so far. It is such a nice break from the more intensive stuff, and you know, it gives me an opportunity to try something a little different with my editing and my recording and my speaking, and it's just really nice. Well, looky there. I think this is a good point to stop it. You know, my original scope for this episode was to get iron. I got some iron, pretty immediately used it, but hey, now we have a very beautiful and aesthetically pleasing mining hall. It's probably the best little mining center I've ever seen. The greatest mine shaft that's ever been constructed, not only in the history of Minecraft, but the world. The structural integrity beams, the dark floor, the lighter ceiling to make the room feel more open, and an easy way to expand further. Who knows, maybe I'll convert the area below into a storage chamber for all my mining-related goodies. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time to be here with me, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It means a lot that you're on this channel, and to be coming back for episode 2 of a new series that I have only recently started only means more. So it's a bit of an anticlimactic ending, I guess, because we didn't build, House Big Roof. I mean, nothing can really top House Big Roof. But I still hope you have enjoyed your stay. I have been Bingus. You have been Chondo. If I've been Chondo, then you've been Bingus. Thank you for watching. And me and the cave noises will see you again soon.